Time to come be with us today in this webinar. Sorry about my video upload speed is just awful today. We've had some technical difficulties on that end, but want to deep dive right into presentation. Our presentation is a little bit under 30 minutes, and we'll certainly have a little bit of time for demoing and answering any questions that you might have. So let's get started. My name is Eitan Chamberlin. That's me off to the left. So take that mental image throughout the next time that we're together. And also on the call here with us is Gev Ben Chaim, Dr. Gev Ben Chaim, who is our COO. He is a PhD from the Distinguished Technion Institute, our form of MIT over here in Israel. And my CTO and co-founder, Tzfiat. Tzfiat brings everything to the table in terms of the technology and development, AR, and a lot of direction in the company. Can't live without him, and also our team of wonderful programmers and advisors. Thank you, AWE, for this opportunity to present to you today. I think we've got some exciting things to share in terms of where the industry is going, and also the product, what we've been building, working on, along with a lot of other great people in the field of XR. We're excited of where this industry is going right now. So just a little bit of background of me. I have a sort of a very diverse background. I actually began in my early years as an archaeologist and have a master's degree in archaeology from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. I excavated 5 ancient cities, and I've appeared on the Discovery Science Channel a few times. But within that, I also did a lot of databasing. And in archaeology, basically, we're doing 3D mapping all the time so that ultimately these cities can be restored in 3D models, et cetera. And this is something like, I'm 48 today, so, this is back more than 20, 25 years ago. But in following the progress and watching augmented reality come into being, I began seeing some of those skill sets, which I built in that time, be able to come out into the real world and through the technologies. We're going to talk about that too. I've had retail, I've owned multiple brick and mortar stores, started with a baseball card shop and comic book store when I was young, and then later I owned an actual retail bookstore. And but I've largely been in SEO, branding, and the travel industry for the past 15 years, where I've served thousands of customers and have learned a lot of what it means location-based content, location-based services. Everything's about locations when you're in the travel world, and certainly that's had a great impact, all of these things, on what we began thinking about several years ago. Stops was actually founded back in 2016, and the brand was acquired earlier years from that. I've been dreaming of the moment for the technology and really for the day we get to AR glasses and AR mirrors and AR autonomous vehicle glass. I'm really excited about where it's going and where and how people can view content. And for me, it's always been getting to 2D landmarks. And my audio is coming out through good, by the way? Are we good? Getting to 2D landmarks has just been kind of boring. And if you really do in the travel world, people get it. They understand it. They can get basic information. But there are so many places and so many facts around us. Why can't we map the entire internet? Why does every fact have a location? A fact on location brings a lot of context. And so we started experimenting. Okay, what does it mean to show the closest Wikipedia article to you, the closest YouTube video, the Spotify song? Could I go to where a song was written versus some, for some experience, and started studying that, learning the power and impact, and seeing the excitement too of travelers when you show them off the road, off the wall, and very outdoor XYZ locations. And this goes on to coupons and Wi-Fi locations, nearby restrooms, docks, and cloud pies. You can't find these things on Google Maps. Try running a search for the closest medicine or product nearest you. It's not very easy, and it hasn't been, and it still isn't, even post-COVID. So the idea was really to make search passive. How do we make search passive? And I think the whole XR world is kind of really built around this concept of what it comes to, where you could just stand at a location and you can engage with the content nearest you and around you. And we've been seeing location-based services for many years of very successful companies, which are built on the premise of opening an app and or doing some kind of reservation, but your location kind of becoming known or exposed to that particular app that wants to service you in whatever particular way. So you see from food services, from taxi pickups, you don't really need to type in your location for some of these things. And just the passive things of great dating apps like Tinder, Google Maps, and even just the weather. Think about data coming to you. Are you filtering out by a lot of noise and a lot of data just by the locations around you? And that, location-based service market just keeps continuing to grow. It becomes a part of our regular thinking and our regular lives. Now, we here at Stops actually see three markets converging. We see location-based services going in the direction of asteroids, along with augmented reality in the metaverse, because we're talking about now interaction points that are on the ground, that one can interact with, right, without even having to press a button, without even search, because naturally it's the closest thing to you. And a lot of this comes out now with things to XR and the great momentum we're seeing for Apple Vision. We're very excited about that coming down the pike. But all the different glass makers from Lenovo to Giro Glass and on. Some exciting things we see out there in the field. But we can see that the real world and the meta world are finally capable of merging. The hardware is getting there, and the path is getting there. The question is now, how are you going to onboard, make money out of this, how, like anybody, or how do you create a business out of this, or how do you help businesses and people interact with this data, share this data, and do something positive with it? So, everybody, can you still hear me fine?
Yes, we can.
Apologize, I just said I got a notification on our.
We can hear you.
Thank you so much. So, in the marketing world, I've quite a bit of market experience, and I hope there are marketing people on this call today, or you'll end up sharing this with people, because this is some of the really newest, exciting stuff and things that we've been R&Ding for years that we get to share with you today. And in the marketing world, we say if content is king. But I've kind of have an expression, we say that the geo-based content is really the bloody emperor. Content in context does things, magical things, that have still never yet been experienced. And now, again, it's all coming out. Thanks a lot to the Z factor and the things that we're taking into consideration. If you think of Google Maps, it's largely, or any mapping system, it's largely just X and Y, right? Or X, Y, and Z with a ground value. So that Z ground value is there. It's important. That's how you roll up with your car with any navigation device. But what happens when you have 100 stories to that building, or there's data down below that building, or you want to start adding micro locations within locations? Certainly, you're going to start organizing let's say even your real estate, your property, your business location, even your home location. Start moving data into different directions. The Z becomes super important. Becomes whether you put your advertisement or your coupon or your augmented reality experience to the left of the doorway or to the right of the doorway. And these are the things that I think are going to be very important to businesses as we go on, and they're going to need some kind of platform or some kind of ability to harness that and move that around. And we're going to show you some good examples of that come too. We talk about this emerging world of how location-based services, location is going to be an awesome way by the location itself just to present content and interaction points with the consumer. So you think like stores or any major brand that has lots of locations, the store locations like Nike, okay, they may have thousands of locations across the United States. We've worked with T-Mobile over the past year. They have more than 7,000 actual store locations throughout the United States. But what we learned is that these big brands actually don't understand where all of their locations are. They may know where their store locations are, but they don't know where all their product locations are. There are distributors, there's other things and people involved in those things, and there's really no list. You ask them where the list is, they don't really know what the list is. So we can help generate, and what we're doing, some part of it Stops is helping people generate that list. And then you can, once you have your locations, you can offer coupons, AR experiences, different things to get that consumer to build a stronger relationship with the partner who is distributing or selling your product. Very interesting what is capable of happening here now. Franchises too, want to help you get to their world, get to their place with GDPR compliance. This is specifically in Europe. They want tracking. If you're referring a customer to use a mapping system, technically you want to know that system's not going to be mining information on your consumer. You're in a sense giving your consent to a sort of mapping platform. We think this is an important part of it, but really to help that customer get to that consumer, that interaction. And this can be done with timers and clocks and ways in which you want to move traffic into a particular location or store. We've been studying things too with partners like the Yellow Pages of Portugal and how we can now bring this down to the low level, and to just the basic small business through QR codes and through interaction points. But really, if you just stop and really with any XR device, you should be able to just stop, pull out the business details, pull out, connect to the Wi-Fi automatically. You shouldn't have to really search when standing in front of anywhere. Search should come to you. And that brings lots of potential to create, I'll go back to the screen, to create smart locations for even your small business and radiate that out, syndicate that out to other XR devices and platforms who also want your business to show up on that data. Proximity is something very huge as well within this, as people want to look for the closest brands, the closest medicines. Post-COVID did this for us. I think COVID did this for a lot. People are looking for the closest things around them much more. And think about systems where you could subscribe to these different businesses or brands that you love. You might want to see Coke locations versus Pepsi locations. There's some people that just won't drink Pepsi, or there's people that just won't drink Coke. And so these things actually matter to a lot of people, and it gives you a way to find closest things potentially, like a lot of your favorite brands or medicines when you're in a hurricane or when we're in COVID shutdowns or whatever may else surprise us in the future. But just think about the ability now to be able to stand anywhere and see different, enticement advertisements or special coupons or things that companies might want to throw out to attract a nearby customer to drive indoor sales. Things too that we believe are coming down the pipeline is just simply how this data, even metadata, is going to be shared across, even sites like Booking, just if you were shopping for hotels. And here we've extensively studied actually, and really it's almost like a 95% ratio. Well, if you show people two different hotels, like you see here on the screen, the Hotel Chelsea and other options you might have in New York, if a hotel has a Wikipedia article connected to it, or a Spotify song connected to it, it may be the very thing, or a Coke product, or a specific type of drink, or anything, other information that people might normally be filtering or looking for, then that can be a very tipping point for a purchase or someone making the decision to stay at that hotel. I know at the Hotel Chelsea, we have a stop that talks about how Leonard Cohen wrote a song for Janis Joplin at the hotel and about the Hotel Chelsea. So if I was in New York, I would, and a music lover like myself, I would pick probably that hotel versus any other hotel because I would want to feel the song. I would want to see what inspired the song. That in of itself is an experience on a location, and there are many great ways to include that kind of data. We also think about the Mickey Mouse or the ballpark effect here. That means people tend to buy things on location in a different way, especially when we're in the circle of their own brands, right, or near their own brands. It drives them into these clubhouse stores or drives them into the Disney shops when they're at Disney. And Disney has a huge turnover, right, of how many people buy. I can't remember the exact percentage. It's really high, a percentage of people who buy something Disney related when they're at Disney World. When knowing they could have bought it at TJ Maxx or online or any other store for much more affordable, there's something special about that. Or the incentives. And so think about also the kind of incentives that can be offered by businesses and begin adding that kind of magic into their own in their own business, right? Same applies for influencers who are constantly producing on location material, right? You're creating videos, you may be creating songs, you may be creating art, you may be creating everywhere. But for us, that has a location, and that is really a window, really, into something incredibly awesome when you think about it of itself. And this is premium content. This is a way which I think a lot of influencers are going to be um, making their mark and picking up different kind of sponsors. I know a lot of women who would like to stay in the last hotel Brad Pitt stayed in, for example. And so it does affect and it does have power. And I think that's a new type of engagement. When you're at the hotel, you might not have even known that Brad Pitt stayed there, but with an application like Stops or good XR platform is going to reveal that to you. It's a public data. So let's get now into take a short breath, but we'll get now into just a few screens about Stops, what we've been working on, and also some live demoing for you coming up. Are we okay to continue?
Yes, of course.
Just want to make sure that audio is perfect.
Yeah.
All right. I know you don't get to see my face on this. Thank you. So so this is Stops. And we've been doing this actually even before AR Core and AR Kit came around, showing data around you in augmented reality or 3D models. We're a geospatial search engine with geospatial apps that help you discover, create, share, and syndicate location-based content and products anywhere. All right. We're fluid across multiple platforms. You can download our product now for iOS. We've got a great new version coming out. We are constantly, doing the best that we can as a small team and a great team, but it keeps going better all the time. And we have app for like I said, for iPhone, for Android, for Apple Watch, for the desktop, and also have augmented reality glass beta and navigational console betas, which we've all experimented to make sure that this is like Spotify. I love Spotify and I love music and I love to be able to go from device to device and just kind of go seamlessly. And we think that's how this thing needs to work in the world of MR and how to capture customers. And we're doing this with privacy at the center, really, with full GDPR compliance. With our world, we start you off with some subscriptions, but you need to subscribe to data. Therefore, you're controlling what data you use and what brands you want to subscribe to and what kind of ultimately, what kind of ads or coupons might end up being served within the platform. We're currently ad-free. We're fully US patented for what we're doing for systems and methods for tagging objects in augmented reality. It's a very exciting patent that takes us between the 2D and the 3D, between the real world and something virtual. And this can be anything. Like we said, currently in our applications, you can connect anything to any location. Files, cloud documents, songs, audios. You can take sounds of rivers and, share those things geosocially with your friends. As just, on a social level. It's even better and more amazing what our businesses can do. We have really 9 aspects to our product, and yes, we're not that easy, simple, vertical product, because to build this world, and like the travel world, you have to have these key features in order to make all this work. That is a geospatial search engine, a content creator where you can create a stop, like I said, to any location you want on the world. A geo-based messenger. I think we're the world's first geo-based messenger. To add locations to your groups, you have the opportunity to do that and see those also on maps and within AR. Social feeds, 3D maps, augmented reality, itinerary creators, geofencing, and syndication. We'll touch on a few of these. Well, let's introduce you a few things we've been really developing over the past year or two, and that is the Geo Coupon. We're really excited about it. It is fun to stand wherever, you might be standing in a business instead of, hey, are there any coupons, deep searching and doing a lot of things. Coupons come to you where you're standing on location. So potentially, you go to a Walgreens or a supermarket. Sometimes they're hitting you after the cash register or at the cash register. But here they could actually hit you before entering the store with a list of coupons to entice you to enter the store, and it's exciting, the Geo Coupon. Geo Surprises are the next big thing we think in the social world. It's geocaching, it's been known for years, but when you add this with an element of AR, there is something very geo-emotional about it, especially when you leave hearts for your loved one or girlfriend or wife or spouse, whatever, and weeks later, they just happen to walk through a geofence, which ignites this. It really brings tears to your eyes. It brings an emotional experience. We're very excited to see where Geo Surprises are going. And of course, we have a whole B2B2C area for our product that is, we think, is the key to growth. Working with companies, helping them simply share their locations with their customers. And you would think that every product maker would want to simply expose their locations to their customers through their own apps or through a search box on their website, but they don't really do that, unfortunately. And that's it's very hard to find the closest product. Or in Israel or in the Middle East, it's very hard to find a cherry Coke, for example. So I'm always running around looking and making stops where I find cherry Cokes because they're few and far between. I want the companies to tell me that. I want that to bring something interesting to my search, and that's what we're doing here for everyone. So one place to manage all your locations in the metaverse, and thus you might have many coupons which have to be syndicated at many different locations, and they have different XYZs, and they have timers, and they end. And therefore, if they're going to be shared cross platforms or through an API and out through many different other networks, they need to be recalled and updated, all that sort of stuff. It's like a Hootsuite for what we call the metaverse, or the old version term of the metaverse, that is everything with a location. In that, you can get customized and your brand, and our users can search by brand. So you search for the closest brand, like the closest Coke or anything else nearest you. Of course, it's going to take a while to develop with partners, et cetera, but we already have over 113 million smart locations in the world on our platform, just so you know, and they're all geofenced and can be modified by their owners as better geofences and add any AR experience to any location in the world. It goes one step further. I'll be closing in just a minute on my end. Just think of where the possibilities are going here for XR ads and ads that exist on location. And even those of you that XR developers or creators out there who are creating awesome AR experiences, we want to work with, we want to show your stuff off everywhere that applies, right? So you may have location where you created. Create a stop. Show us the location where you created. Show your friends and followers. This is where I came up with the idea, Jerry Seinfeld was on a corner bench in Manhattan when he thought about becoming a comedian, and he shared that in a movie, and we made a stop about it. It opens your product and you up into a whole different world. So you could take any product and really syndicate it by keyword across the world. If you had a bathing suit or beach ball, you can syndicate it to every beach. If you have a market camping gear, you can syndicate it to every forest in the world or camping site. And if you've created something like AR, like we've said, or something of tangible, hey, share it by keyword across the system. Keyword-based ads, of course, in geo context are awesome and very, very applicable to the user. And so we're going to open it up to questions and answers in just a minute. I'm going to play you 1.5 minute video, and then I will stop sharing, and we'll be happy, me and the team, Sviat and Phil, Sviat and Gev, happy to answer any questions you have. Great. All right. So I think we're going to open it. You can still hear me right. Uh, we're going to open it up to questions. Gabs, Fiat, be ready for any questions we might have from any of our guests.
Yeah, sure.
And while they're doing that, yeah, we're showing a few videos, a little bit more of what we've done here in uh, partnership pitches and people that are starting to really unveil our product here too. I personally, this countdown timer clock really does something to you. If you're standing in a shopping mall, you really could be driven into another product. We see that again. I think I mentioned that earlier, that in business membership clubs that you might be part of, we really see this as a future of that kind of geosocial interaction between the business and the customer. Gav, and it's Fiat. Do you want to add anything until we have some questions? Don't feel to raise your hand. Just go ahead and butt in anybody that wants to maybe say anything.
Yeah, sure. Feel free to ask anything. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
They're speechless. That if you have any questions, you can also ask them in here in the chat. We'll be hanging around for a few minutes, but feel free to sign off whenever you want.
I'll a question.
Stops.com.
What is one notable experience that you've had that you would say that, okay, this is like something really cool that we've done and we would do it again? Yeah.
Do you mean in terms of the development? Give me a little bit more on that, if you
In
will.
terms of development, in terms of collaboration.
Well, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things in the startup business that try to take you sidetrack from your original mission. There's a lot of noise out there. There's a lot of ways which you can go and grow. I think sticking to your vision is the key and sometimes the hardest part. For us, the biggest earthquakes that we have had so far are things like GDPR compliance coming into the picture, right? The need for that and the legal ramifications of that, especially in an address world, address sharing world, right? Where things can happen on location. So I think we passed through that, and also COVID was a major challenge for us. So we're from the travel world. Travelers stopped traveling. People stopped interacting with it. So some of our learning was stopped there. We pivoted into working with more businesses and retailers and trying to going to this direction and dealing with that aftermath. Third aspect we've had a challenge too is my wife passed away 3 years ago. So maybe you want to hit on a real human level. We're all humans, and we're a team of families, and we all go through challenges. We all help each other, and I think those are the keys to really getting through a startup. No matter what you're faced with, what adversity, you have to keep going on and building your vision. We believe there's a real powerful use here for potentially thousands of corporations who have thousands of addresses which they need to manage, which they want to bring this new experience and help this overall XR revolution. So challenges are always going to exist, and we've had everything from NFTs to crypto and all sorts of other directions. But when it's all said and done, you're going to need, even if as any XR creator, developer, platform, you're going to want a place to distribute all of that. And we believe Stops is a home for those locations.
Yeah, just to add, so the feedback we got from partners in the industry, so the platform we built is pretty wide. There's a B2B angle for managing multi-locations. There's a B2C side, with user engagement and experience. But the way we build this platform is so wide. So as we see, it's like different types of companies, corporates, businesses can use and utilize only parts of or specific features. So there's a massive opportunity here, and what we hear back is people, hey, can you take this feature and help us, geolocating our projects, or can you help us in the B2B side of managing all the branches and locations we have? So it's pretty big and it's pretty wide and broad, and we kind of try to, find the right path, because
Yeah, it's learning. It's a
yeah,
good point, because
yeah,
the whole thing's nascent, right? The whole
yeah,
market is nascent. We think the market's emerging over the next 6 to 9 months, finally, after all these years, but every market, has its own pushbacks. But, we
yeah,
do think it's finally emerging. And I think the businesses, especially just based on the type of meetings we're having, especially as they continue to grow, really since, I think a lot Meta helps with some of this. This is not technically our space, but we in terms of avatars and et cetera. But again, we can incorporate all of that in terms of providing the location and geofencing required for some of that will be needed. So
yeah,
yeah, you get pulled and taken a lot of different ways. The space is so nascent, and so you just build with a common denominators. We have always said, if you can't travel with it, right? Everything is travel. Going to the grocery store is travel. Opening a coupon is going to be travel. So you have to be able to actually travel to anywhere in the world with it. And then you have the real estate aspects of it and the educational aspects of it. So, you just look at maybe those 5 different categories and industries which that your product can really affect, and you create common denominators, between them, and that's how we develop. And many people have always been surprised about how much we've done as a small team. And that's largely I think, part of our skill set of doing that, is working as a team, is going through lots of different ideas, but, really saying, okay, what are the common denominators across all these different verticals, which can
right,
be taken at one day. I'm sure we will exit, and one of those verticals will find the best, use for that. Who knows? But right now we keep building it in a way that it's geosocial. It should work for the people, and that's going to help them kind of onboard them into this world we call the Metaverse or XR, and and it's got to be good for businesses, because if the businesses don't see it, that the people like it, they're not going to onboard as well. So it's kind of this like play back and forth. So
yeah,
we've had to develop a project that shows all ends of that funnel. So you have to convince the business that this is practical, and you got to convince the user that it's an awesome way to engage with the business. So I think we find as just sort of a wedding place between that, and that's where we wed once again the consumer, the local consumer, back with a local business or the brand that exists in a local place. We stir local economies again.
yeah. And maybe last note is pretty much we hear back that if you're talking about the metaverse or XR, AR, all that stuff, so it usually in the context of virtual environments, right? But we see the markets, colliding a little bit into the physical world. People understand that all these virtual environments and, tagging objects and, fixing stuff in the virtual has to be physical in this way or another. So, and especially when, all these wearables and AR glasses come to life and gets more strong now in the market. So we feel there is a strong path into kind of, Eitan talked about it before, but the merging of the physical and the virtual, it's not going to be only virtual. It's not going to be only VR stuff. So and we feel it and we see it, and the what we feel back, we get back from the partners we work with, is people kind of try to say, okay, that's a cool AR stuff and it's a cool AR model, but where do I locate it? How do I attach it to a window? How do I give it context into the physical world? Just that, yeah.
All right, cool. One more question, and I promise this is my final one. What is the best way for people to get in touch with you if they want to collab, if they want to work with you, if they want to find out more?
Yeah, you're just welcome to email us at team@stops.com, team@stops.com. You can also impress me, download the app, and just type in my name and connect with us. We have our own chat within a messenger.
Or mine.
in the app, or
Yeah.
Sviat or Gev. So you can
Yeah.
communicate right within our app all the time as well. It's good and fun and easy, and it's all, yeah.
All right. Cool. Well, thank you for the event. I think it was really cool and it was very, very educational. And for the attendees, thanks once again for being a part of AWE Live. If you go to the agenda, you can check out the other events that we have coming up in the next couple of weeks. And then, yeah, make sure to buy your ticket for the big event because, yeah, time's ticking. But yeah, thank you, Eitan, Gev, and Sviat once again for being here.
Thank you, Gabriel.
And I'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.